Hey guys, this is Stacy Rossetti. Thank you so much for hanging out with us today. I look forward to seeing you in all of the podcasts that are coming up. Hi everybody, I'm back, Stacy Rossetti here, and I have a special guest speaker today, an amazing, totally awesome woman investor. And I wanted to just go ahead and introduce you. Jennifer, introduce yourself to everybody.
Okay, hi, my name's Jennifer Ward, and I live in Denver, but invest in Indianapolis.
Oh, wow. So how did you start doing that?
Well, when I became interested in investing again, I started researching the market in Denver, and unfortunately, it was just too high of a price for me to enter in without feeling restricted with my cash. So I started thinking about other markets, and I had just recently learned about bigger pockets too at the time. And that's when David Green, who wrote the book about long distance real estate investing, that was being promoted kind of around about that time as well. So I looked more into it, read the book, and then I just started my own analysis of different markets that were at a price point more comfortable to me. And I did a little analysis of several markets, and Indy just kind of, it never hit the top or bottom of any of the metrics. It was just kind of right in the middle, which is something I liked. It was very predictable that way. So that's why I started investing in Indy.
So how long have you been investing for?
Well, I've been investing in Indy for about, it's coming up to about 2 years now,
Awesome. Okay.
or right at 2 years. So I used to have a duplex in Texas before, but I didn't go into it with the mindset I was real estate investing. I was needing a place to live, and I found this duplex, and my parents had been involved in real estate, and they said, this is a good opportunity. You can rent one side out. It helps cover your costs. I was like, yeah, that sounds good. So that's kind of where I initially got started, but and I held on to that property for about 7 years and then sold it. And then quickly, or probably about 3 years later, I started investing in Indy.
So you live in Denver then?
I do.
Yeah,
Yep.
The market in Denver is just nuts.
Yeah, it's crazy hot. Hasn't quite slowed down. It really picked up, I think probably a year or maybe even 2 years before we moved there. So we've been in Denver for about 6 years. So I would say a good solid 8 years. It's just been rising, and appreciation, it was in double digits for a period of time. So it's really worked out for us as far as helping us reinvest our equity. We've done some cash out refis, and we also kind of went back and forth between properties and sold one as our primary, and it appreciated so well that we were able to also take that cash and invest in Indy.
Oh, I love that. So tell me, so what are your parameters or requirements for investing in Indianapolis? What do you look
at? So I started out first looking for buy and hold properties. And when I was researching and learning more from bigger pockets, I always heard sort of about the 1% rule as your as a very generic minimum baseline when looking at properties. So I kind of go by that just to kind of have a fast way of analyzing properties. So Indianapolis exceeded that pretty easily with most properties that I was looking at. And I'm usually buying properties around the 70,000 mark. And they're generating close to 900. One of them I do really well with, and I get almost right around 1,100 a month. So that's my main, I guess, metric or analysis that I look at. I don't really pay a whole lot of attention yet to cap rate and those metrics, but more for me, it's more all about cash flow. So my cash on cash return.
Is it a multifamily or what type of property is it?
Well, we have 5 doors now, and one is a duplex, which does pretty well, but probably our best cash on cash property is a single family that was the first one I bought. And then we got two other single family homes. So we have three single families and a duplex right now.
Cool. Awesome. I love it. So tell
Yeah.
me the numbers, like on the first one that you got, tell me the numbers on that. If you remember.
So we bought it for around 55,000, just to kind
Okay.
of round out to an even number. And then it needed a rehab, so I went into it wanting to do the BRRRR method. And
What's the
so
BRRRR method for everybody that's listening, just so people, just in case?
yeah, it's where you buy a property, you rehab it, you rent it out, then you finance it or refinance it, and then you get the goal is to get most of your cash out that you put into it with the purchase and rehab, and then you just keep repeating that. So reusing that cash you put into it, and then once you finance it, you're able to pull most of it back out, if not all or more, if you're really lucky or did your really good due diligence, and just repeat that process. I think a lot of people go in with the expectations you're going to get 100% out. I find that's probably in the minority, unless you're very skilled at it. But starting out, I don't think that's super realistic. But just to get most of your cash out is a big plus. So we got most of our cash out. I think we left about 7,000 in.
Okay.
Yeah, so not too bad.
So you bought that one for 55. Did it need any work?
Yeah, so we put probably about 20,000 in at the end of the day.
What does the house look like? Is it like a 3-2 or what kind of a house?
3-1.
3-1. Okay.
Yeah, and at the time I was really focused on the neighborhoods I wanted to invest in. So when I was researching, once I chose Indianapolis and I was researching, I really wanted a school district that had scores of at least a 4. Unfortunately, the Indianapolis, like the city proper, doesn't have great ratings for their schools, but you could find some pockets where the schools do a little bit better. A lot of times they're only performing at 1 in many of the neighborhoods. So yeah, it's kind of
so steer clear of those or what?
No, not anymore. But at the beginning, it was my first one, and I wanted to make sure that it was going to be attractive property for renters, and usually school districts are a driving force. And and the later ones that we acquired, we actually had to purchase them in a pretty tight timeline because we were doing a 1031 exchange. We had previously bought a condo in Denver that we decided to sell because we could do a lot more money with our cash in Indianapolis. So we did a 1031 and bought those last 3 properties, which included the duplex, all at once. So we couldn't be particularly choosy with those, but if I'm not under the gun to have to purchase something in a tight timeline, I probably would try to find more properties in that same neighborhood or close by that we bought our first one.
Yeah, I think Denver has the same situation as Austin, Texas. It's like super expensive, growing really fast.
Yeah.
I have a really good friend that's a realtor in Austin, and she says she's taking people around that want to buy investment properties in Austin, and they're like a couple $100,000. And in Atlanta, you can, exactly like Indianapolis, you can buy these properties just like you said, like $50,000 to $100,000. And I'm thinking to myself, why would you spend $200 and something thousand on an investment property when you can buy 4 of those in Atlanta?
Yeah, and I think it goes down to what is your strategy? Is it cash flow or appreciation?
Yeah, that's true.
Technically, appreciation, you could do really well right now in Denver and Austin, but that's not a guarantee. Cash flow, you can really, analyze it and get it down to make it a sure thing that you will receive some cash flow. But appreciation is technically speculative, so it's a little bit riskier way of investing. But we actually, with our house in Denver, we house hack. And
What does
so
that mean?
that's, it's basically having a roommate.
Oh,
It's
okay.
just,
Okay.
yeah. So house hacking, I guess, is that new term, more trendy term for roommates. We rent out our basement,
You rent your basement.
and
Okay, cool.
yeah, and cover most all of our costs, maybe $100 we have to pay for
Yes. I
when you
love that.
calculate our mortgage and escrow together. So,
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, we had that. We just sold our property and moved and we actually moved into a tiny house. But
oh, awesome.
we had like 10 acres with the house and the guest house, which is kind of the same thing, but essentially that guest house, I mean, it paid our mortgage every single month. We lived there for 10 years for free.
Yeah.
And I think this is the same thing. It's the same exact idea.
Similar.
It's like,
Yeah, yeah. And a lot of people think when you're doing the house hacking, like especially when you're going into it as an investment strategy, that you need to have also a whole separate unit and have it fully equipped like a regular apartment. And
yeah, no.
not so. I mean, we have a long-term renter downstairs and we don't have a kitchen down there. We make our kitchen available, but they never use it. They're just very savvy with a microwave and a toaster oven and and we have a mini fridge and a microwave, of course, and they brought, a few of the smaller appliances to use, and they've been happy with it. So,
Yep,
yeah,
yeah, we've
you
done that
can
too.
do something with a very little.
That's cool. So I've house hacked before because we actually rented our room out at one point, but I was like, just stay in that area. And it was a guy that was like an actor and like
Yeah.
like a semi actor, and he was just like, I'm cool. I'll just go out. I just go out to eat anyways with all my friends and stuff every day. So
Yeah, yeah. A lot of people can live with very little, so, and we do
yes,
it. We have a baby now and it hasn't changed our viewpoint on doing it. I screen the people, of course, do background checks and they're almost less likely to cause any issues when you live in the same area. So,
yes, yes. Well, that brings me to a good point then. So you're obviously married and you have a baby. So kind of, is your husband working also with you on the real estate side, or do you have a full-time job? Is this full-time for you? And how's that going?
yeah, yeah. Well, he certainly helps out, but I guess you could say I'm more of the driver on it,
Okay.
and have more of a presence, talk or networking with other investors. But yeah, right. Our son's 15 months now,
Okay.
and our goal was to always be able to live off our investments. And I was working full time right before I had Zealand is his name. And but he kind of came as a surprise. So we thought, we would start having kids after we were living off of our investments. But once he came, I decided to leave my full-time job and be an official, like a stay-at-home mom.
Mhm.
But I've been very busy on the side with real estate and just networking, trying to find new investment properties. I'm trying to actually find a property in Indy that I can flip to help generate some more cash to
Mhm.
then help with purchasing buy and hold. So
Mhm.
that's my strategy right now. But yeah, it can easily become a full-time job for anyone. I felt like even when I was had my W-2 job, I was probably still working more on real estate. But
So where do you see the market for, I know Denver, you're not really in, but do you see the market in Denver like, or do you see it still kind of rising? And then also in
yeah.
Indianapolis, kind of what do you see for the next year or so?
Yeah, well, everything I hear about Denver is that it's still growing. Everybody's saying, "Oh, it's going to flat," but it hasn't happened yet. Definitely not during the pandemic so far. The inventory is still super low,
Yeah,
and the
selling.
same in Indy. The inventory is extremely low. I haven't been able to find any deals right now, at least when I'm looking at it from a flip standpoint.
Mhm.
So I'm just kind of hoping. I'm actually trying to build myself my own lead generating website, and to bring in some off market deals because I've gotten to the point like wholesalers aren't bringing me anything worth investing in. Of course, the MLS, you're not finding deals really there.
Do
So
you do
yeah, I'm
any other
having,
marketing yourself, like direct mail or anything, or was it
I,
wholesalers?
yeah, I've thought about it, but I really like the idea of having a website. So that way you're bringing in people who actually are interested in selling.
I love
Um,
that. Mhm.
yeah, it's definitely a lot. It can be a lot more money, and it's definitely a lot of time invested at the beginning. But from what I'm hearing, once you have it set up, it should kind of work on its own like a well-oiled machine. And you just, especially once you can get some reviews on there from clients that you've already worked with, it
Are
should
you
work.
going through Carrot, or which company are you going through?
Yeah, I'll likely start out with
Carrot.
Carrot.
Okay.
I decided to go ahead and hire consulting services to
Oh,
help me get it going. And they use Carrot for this.
okay.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
gonna
Yeah.
start out there.
I would recommend Carrot. And for people that don't know Carrot, and I'll put the link in the end. We'll put the link. But essentially, they just create a website for you, and then they do all the SEO, lead generation. And like she said, it's a little bit more expensive than direct mail, but honestly, in the end, it's less work. Like once you set it up, it's a little bit of work to set it up. But in the
Right.
end, like what happens is that the leads just come to you. And it's really kind of on your time, there's no rushing or anything like that. And the leads are literally like, I need to sell my house, like, please call me right now, kind of thing, which is opposite of direct mail, which is like you trying to push somebody to like sell their house to you. So I'm definitely with you on the online generation. I teach my students both ways, but
Yeah.
I push online marketing. I like online marketing too.
Yeah. Do you do at all any paid ads, or has
Well,
it mostly
so
been SEO?
all I do is buy storage facilities now. So for me, it's like a little bit different. But back in the
Mm.
day, I was doing like online marketing, ads. I did everything, honestly.
Oh, okay.
Just so I could
Yeah.
get the deals. But it's so funny because I'm like opposite of you, because I was like, let's do 1 million houses. So opposite, where you're like I can say you're very like conservative, and you're just looking at
Yeah.
the numbers, looking at the deals, and the BRRRR method as well is also, you have the perfect personality for the BRRRR method, I think, where I was just like, I want to do 100 homes right now, so it was just like all,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I really enjoy investing, but to be honest, like right now we're just focused on it to be able to retire,
yeah, which is very smart.
and we don't necessarily need a whole lot of properties. I think our goal is to get to at least 15, and then I think we're at a point where we could feel like we could live off of that. Thanks to the whole wave movement of FIRE, financial independence, retire early.
Mhm.
We've become really comfortable living with a pretty tight budget and are very happy with it because we've reset our expectations on what makes happiness.
I love
So,
that. I love that. I think you
yeah,
got a great head on your shoulders. You
thanks.
are like, yeah, I think, and there's a lot of people out there going to resonate with you and your personality. So definitely, watch out for Jennifer, and watch out for Jennifer. She's coming out. She's
All right.
a badass woman investor,
All right, I'll take it. That sounds awesome.
Do you have any final like tips or anything for anybody that's watching?
Um, well, for me, I think what's really driven my success so far, and that's all defined differently, our different levels of success, but it's just getting out there, networking, asking questions. Don't be afraid to be vulnerable. I mean, I show my vulnerability every day with other investors. Just I don't know everything. Obviously, I don't think any of us knows everything. Real estate is just so big. There's so many avenues. You do storage units, right now I'm doing single family, or small multifamily, and just ask questions, network. I think actually I started a Facebook group for long distance real estate investors,
Oh, I love
um
that.
and I think people think I have more experience than I do, but purely started it so I could learn.
Yeah.
Just to bring in other people who have interest and who've been doing it for a while and bring us all together to help each other out is the goal. And I just started it for selfish reasons of I needed to meet more people and learn from them.
I love that. I mean, you're in a niche that I think, I mean, actually, I've never even heard of I mean, I know there's like virtual and long distance investing, but I think
Right.
that is something that's awesome. That's a great niche, I think. Totally focused on that. You're going to do really well.
Yeah, a lot of people think you have to have more experience to invest long distance, and you don't, because in my opinion, you're putting a lot more at risk investing in a market like Denver, spending 200,000 at minimum on a property versus spending 50 to 70,000 in another market. It's a lot less riskier, and it's just a matter of setting up a good team. And it takes a little time. It takes trial and error finding a good team for yourself. But there are people out there that will help you and are good people. And also for me, I want investing to be a passive way of income. And if I just know my personality, we've done it before where lived really close to our rental property.
Mhm.
And if they're calling about some maintenance issue, the classic, well, my toilet's clogged, we're going over there ourselves to fix it. This forces us to be hands off,
I
to work
love
with
that.
other people.
So
So
awesome. Oh my God. You got it. You got it. You're going to do great. I love it. I love it so much. Okay.
thanks.
Well, it was
Thanks.
so good to meet you. So definitely and I know we're in the group together or whatever, but I would definitely want to stay in touch. I think,
Yes.
yeah, you got a lot of stuff going for you. So it's so nice to meet you. And I thank you so much for your time on the podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me. Always love talking about it.
Okay, good. Great. Awesome. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you at the next podcast. Okay.